All right. So I guess we can start now. I hope you all find your place now to the meeting, grabbed a coffee or a tea, and are ready for the new episode of the webinar series, What Can I Be with a PhD from the European Young Chemist Network. My name is Lysander Wagner. I'm representing the German Young Chemist Network in the EYCN, in which I'm part of the networks team, which brings me also to the occasion to be your host today for this fourth episode. And if you might ask the question, what actually is this webinar series all about? Well, the reasoning behind is that most PhD people or people graduating have the choice and think, well, I can either stay in academia or go to industry, although there, of course, are a lot of other possibilities where you can go. And just to show you part of them, we show you in each episode a new possible pathway which you can take besides those two possibilities. And for this reason, I'm very happy to have today Yolanda Álvarez Gallego with me, who comes from the European Research Council, the ERC. And if you take a closer look on her CV, you will see that perfectly in alignment with the European Young Chemist Network, she traveled a lot or had to travel a lot around across Europe. And well, I would say I do not have to present her CV by myself because she will do it by herself right now. So I would say the stage is basically yours, and I'm glad to hand over the stage to you.
Thank you for the floor, and thank you for the invitation to give this webinar. Yes, as it has been said, I currently work for the executive agency of the European Research Council. However, this presentation is more about my experience and my parkour rather than focus on the activities of the ERC. And I understood the whole purpose of this series of webinars was to give the members of the European Young Chemists Network some inspiration or ideas or examples of what can they do after PhD besides the obvious choices of either going to industry or going pursuing career in the academic environment. In my case, indeed, I didn't go for either of those two options. I explored a bit, if you want, different options, or I went through different phases before landing in an EU or in the bubble of the EU funding institutions. Maybe as a brief introduction. So these are the different phases or options that I would like to cover in my presentation, which is also meant to spark your questions and feed the discussion after the presentation. But maybe as a little introduction to put you into context, I prepared this slide on my career path or my road trip. I am Spanish, was born in Spain. I studied in chemistry in the University of Valladolid here in the middle of Spain. And then when I finished the studies, or when I was finishing them, I got the idea that I would really like to continue and do a PhD in chemistry. And well, through circumstances, I ended up doing this PhD in the framework of a collaboration between an institute in northern Germany. It was called GKSS at that point. Now I was checking the past days, and it's called Helmholtz Research Center Herion, and it's located in Gestacht, close to Hamburg. And this was, as I say, a collaboration between the membrane science part of this research center and Polymer Institute in Madrid, which is part of the Spanish Research Council, also known as CSIC. Okay, so I carried out the PhD basically 3 years roughly in Germany plus 1 year in Madrid. I defended my thesis in 2005, so almost 19 years ago. And then was searching for a job while I was writing my thesis, and I found a very interesting opportunity in a research center in the Netherlands. At that point, it was the Energy Research Center of the Netherlands. Now is TNO, is a part of TNO, the very large Dutch applied research center, but it's still located in Petten, in the north of the Netherlands. I went there because the position was really very, very close to what I had been doing during my PhD, the topic, and I really felt like continuing a bit on the same or related topic. And then I stayed there for a bit more than 3 years, and then I moved to Belgium, to the Flemish Institute for Technological Research, also known as VITO. I have stayed there for a very, very long time, for 9.5 years, until I finally made it to enter into the bubble of the EU research funding institutions, which is basically the executive agencies of the European Commission. I started in EASME, which now doesn't exist anymore, has a new name. Then I moved to JADEA. Then I moved to ERSEA, which is where I am now. So now moving a bit the focus away from my experience and going a bit more general. I would say the first step after finishing your PhD is deciding what do you want to do out of it, but maybe sometimes deciding your next steps might require, it's not just a brainstorming with yourself. It might require testing some things. Maybe you want to continue for a little bit more with research, eventually taking a postdoc position, and well, for a postdoc or a sort of postdoc position, the only option is not continuing in university. There are a lot of research centra across Europe, and you might have, depending on the research center, there are some that are still quite fundamental research, thinking, for instance, Max Planck Institute. There are some that are maybe more applied research. There are some that have both options. You have to search and look what's decide what could be appealing to you. One thing is clear, I think, in most of the places, even if you, or especially if you want to continue with research, there will be some points where you have to take also the management side of research, maybe with technicians or maybe even a small team. You will have to take responsibility to plan and manage your resources in both in terms of money and in terms of personnel, and also managing people. And I think that's also sooner or I don't think, I'm pretty sure sooner or later you will be expected to contribute to securing the funding for your research, because to a bigger or lesser extent, the research organizations are normally relying on a part of income that comes from outside. This funding can be in European or national research programs, which is co-funded, and but it could also be that that it is expected from you to acquire contracts with industry to carry out contract research. So this is what you will find in in most research centra, and probably in universities, depending a bit on the country. If you want to take a peek and see what can be available across Europe, and explore beyond what is your current professional network, the Eurassess website is a place where you can have such opportunities advertised. I mean, besides the common websites to search for jobs, for positions. And here I thought it was excuse me, it could be worth mentioning, especially if you are already somehow attracted by the possibility of a career in the European institutions. There is the Joint Research Center, which is like a separate directorate of the European Commission, and this Joint Research Center carries out research to provide evidence supported advice to the Commission in drafting the policies. So the Joint Research Center has different research centra across Europe, which are typically focused on one thematic. There is PETEN for energy, PETEN and ISPRA for energy. Well, ISPRA is the largest of all of them, but there's another one in PETEN. There's one in Seville for materials and techno-economic assessment and that type of activities. There's one in Karlsruhe for more for like nuclear research. And there is one in here in Belgium in Halle for reference materials and measurements. So it's something that it could be worthwhile checking if any of the activities that they have there is a good match for your research interests, because it's a good entry point. Then on my personal experience, at some point I was quite attracted by all the IP affairs, maybe because in my last job before joining the institutions, the one in Vito, I was quite active in trying to or filing patents for the different research results that we had, and I found it quite interesting. And now this is probably how big are the opportunities on this is probably different depending on the country and the type of organization where you are working or where you would like to work. I can say that at least in Northern Europe, patent filing and technology transfer, which is the next step, is very important for the research activity, and you can often find that it is a KPI either at individual or at collective level of the organization. So what doesn't a patent professional have to do with chemistry? Well, to be a patent professional, you of course need to have the legal understanding of the whole legislation and the patenting process, but it also requires understanding what is in the patent. So this is usual. A patent professional has a scientific technological background, and at some points has pursued the legal part of the training. Or even if you think of knowledge and technology transfer, it could have some component of business training. Here I list 3 examples, which the first one that I put is a knowledge and technology transfer officer, or an IP office at a research organization. Then a next step in involvement would be becoming a patent attorney. This requires some intensive training, because you have to pass a qualifying exam. And another option linked to IP affairs is applying for and becoming an examiner at the European Patent Office, or maybe less frequent at a national patent office. So this could be aspects that maybe after finishing your PhD, you could dig a bit into it and see if it could be an option for you. Of course, going into this direction implies getting out of the lab and looking at research results from a completely different perspective. But I think is very, very interesting activity. And then if we finally arrive to my last, personally my last phase, which is working at a funding institution. Well, You have European funding institutions. You also have national funding institutions. Of course, going into the national funding institutions that's within the whole Europe would be too broad and difficult to explore. But you can see within your network or the projects that you are involved in. If you have some national projects, probably you will be also in contact with a sort of project officer or equivalent from the national funding institution. I can talk for the European institutions. So since some years already, and already with Horizon 2020, the previous framework program, and more extensively with the Horizon Europe framework program, which started in 2021, the Commission has made the change, decided to let the Directorate Generals focus on policy making and delegate the management of the research programs to the so-called executive agencies. The executive agencies, they execute the research program on behalf of the Commission. There are now 6 executive agencies. So there is the European Research Council Executive Agency, which manages the European Research Council part of the Horizon Europe program. There is the Health and Digital Executive Agency, which manages parts of Cluster 1 and Cluster 4 of the Horizon Europe program. We will look at the structure in the next slide. EYCN is the executive agency that contains both the European Innovation Council and the SME part of the research program. The Research Executive Agency is the oldest and largest executive agency of the European Commission. It started even in in the previous framework program in FP7. Then there is the Climate Infrastructure and Environment Executive Agency, known as CINEA. And well, the Education and Culture Executive Agency is maybe a bit apart, deals more with the education and culture program. So probably the link with chemistry and a PhD in chemistry would be a bit weaker than the other 5 that I mentioned. So here in this slide, I I presented, or I pasted the structure of Horizon Europe, which is complicated and with a lot of subtitles. As I said, the European Research Council, this corresponds to ERSEA. The Marie Skłodowska-Curie program and the research infrastructure, these are the other 2 elements in the Pillar 1, Excellent Science. These are managed by REA. And then Horizon Europe has a second pillar, which deals with the global challenges and the European industrial competitiveness, with fostering the European industrial competitiveness. And here we have a division per so-called clusters. So we have a cluster on health, which relates to the executive agency HADEA. We have a cluster on culture, creativity, and inclusive society, mainly with EHEA. We have we have the digital industry and space, also linked to HADEA. Climate, energy, and mobility. This is clearly linked to CINEA, the executive agency CINEA, and food bioeconomy, natural resources, agriculture, and environment. This is embedded in REA as well. It's also mentioned here the UN Research Center, which was in one of my first slides. And then in pillar 3, we have the Horizon Europe part of the dealing with fostering an innovative Europe. And this is where the European Innovation Council in the European Innovation ecosystems are located. European Innovation Council, as I mentioned, is with ESMEA. So a bit summarizing, with a PhD in chemistry, your profile can be relevant for many of these activities, the research council, even health has a component in chemistry, definitely industry and space, climate, energy, and mobility, food bioeconomy. So I would suggest or invite you to maybe go into the websites of the different executive agencies and identify which is the program that they are managing that will be closer to your expertise. And that's the one side of it. And well, maybe the other side of it is to decide yourself if this type of job, what we do is called project advisor, is project advisor or project officer. The type of activity is that you are following research projects. Some of them are more fundamental research, some of them are more applied research with multi-partner consortia that strive to develop some system, even piloting some technology. So you have to consider if you find that is interesting as a next step for your career, having clearly in mind that it would also mean moving away from the lab, which is it can be difficult because, of course, working in research is super interesting and motivating. But following research projects it can be also very interesting and gives you a bit the distance and even the bigger picture of where are all these European research framework programs leading to, and what's the evolution and what's coming out of it. So, well, I could keep on elaborating for very long on different aspects, but since I don't know what's the most interesting for you, I think it's best that you put your your questions or your comments, and we continue discussing in the direction that is more of most of your interest. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to answering your questions.
And of course, many thanks to you for presenting us the overview over your pathway through the research councils, or let's say across the research centers. And yeah, with that being said, I would say I might ask one question before stopping the recording. Well, one very general question. What would be your advice to the young generation? What you would like to give us to say to choose our pathway?
Mm-hmm. Mm. Well, I think personally my general advice would be to go for what you find at a certain point in a time or in your career, what you are more attracted to, because I think that's like trying to move in one or the other direction based on a sort of design and expectation of what might happen in 10 years time. In 10 years time, it's a bit of a gamble, and might not give the result that you expected, or maybe in 10 years time it is something else what you realize that you want. And another piece of advice would be to take the time that you need to make your decision. Do not rush a decision, because well, it seems that when you finish a PhD, you feel that you should already define what will be your life and your next steps. But actually, you are super young, and you do have some room to try different things, and even trying different things. It might be a positive trait in the future for certain positions, or showing flexibility, showing that you can do different type of activities and adapt. Yes.
Right, thank you. Very inspiring advice. I mean, of course, as long as the contract allows us to take our time.
Yes.
With that being said, I thank you again for the talk.